Hi there, David here from daviddumaisaudio.com, and in this video I'll be doing a redesign of the Blasphemous sword sound from the video game Elden Ring. So in this video I'll be going over layer by layer how I created my sound, how I processed it, designed it, and also I'll be showing you how I created the fire and flame sounds from scratch. So if you want to learn how to create your own fire sound effects, this is going to be the video for it. We're going to go into details about that in this video. All right, but if you're new here, like I said before, my name's David. I'm a sound designer. I like to create sound effects. And if you are also a sound designer who likes to create sound effects, I have a little gift for you. It is my 5 layering techniques guide. So this is a little PDF guide I put together of 5 different layering techniques that I use when I'm creating sound effects, and that I've also learned from other professional sound designers to create sound effects. So I put it all together in this little guide. So it'll be free. Links will be in the description. All right, let's get into our project. All right, so here we are inside of Reaper, and what I'd like to do is play you the original from the so that we hear the audio that's actually in the game, and then I'll play you my redesign, and then I'll go through layer by layer, show you what I used to create it, and how I created it, and just talk about a bit about the process behind that. So here we go. Let's listen to the original here. All right, so that was the original. Now let's listen to the redesign. All right, so that is the redesign that I created, and I did everything from scratch, just using my own recorded sounds and things like that. So why don't we actually go through, and I'll just talk a little bit about what I used to create the sounds and how I layered it and just processed everything. So yeah, let's go through it. So I started off with the ignition sound, which is basically just like when the flame lights on fire up here. And so what I used for that, which was actually interesting, it's kind of like an accident. I was kind of just trying things and experimenting. And I used a recording that I created of just outside. I was outside my front yard, and there was a lot of wind. So I recorded the wind outside, and there was also leaves like moving around, like dried leaves. So I got this really cool sound, and then I tried to just see if I could create some sort of fire sound with it, and it actually turned out really well. So this is the sound I created, and I'll show you how I actually did it in this sub-project I have here, but let's just listen to it by itself here. So I created that just with a wind sound. And to me, that sounded really good, and it just really matched the picture. You get this kind of like burning sound. This is like a lower version of it. So if I'm not mistaken, I think I just, yeah, so I just put on uber loud just to really bring out a lot of the lows and the mids here of the sound. So if I take this off, here, let's listen to these one at a time here. So this this sound here that I have a fireball, there's actually no editing or whatsoever. I didn't add anything. I just add a bit of gain just to bring it down and like to mix it in with the other sounds. This is the one that I have processing on. So let's listen to it with no processing. And if I'm not mistaken, I actually think this is the exact same sound. I just copied and pasted it down. And then what I did is I added uber loud on here by Boom Library. And I was able to get this really deep sound, which I really liked. I still found there was too much highs on it, like too much high frequency content, especially because this first layer already covered that. I didn't really need it, so that's why I had this second this EQ here, just to cut out some of the highs here, just because it didn't need it. So all together now with uber loud and this EQ, it sounds like this. And then layered together. Right, so to me that was really good. I really liked that. It just sounded really great. I just liked how it really matched the ignition of the sound here. All right, so what I'd actually like to do is show you how I created these sounds from the wind recordings that I had. So here in my sub-project, I can show you the actual wind recording that I did here. So it's right here. Let's just have a quick listen to it, and then I'll show you kind of the processing I did to create these flaming sounds. So all that rustling are just leaves that were like floating around on the ground. So I was like really low to the ground and recording the leaves. Unfortunately, I don't have a video of it. But yeah, I was just like really close to the ground and just recording the leaves that were just on my driveway. And there's no like low pass filter or anything. I just had everything just as is. This is like the raw recording right here. And then I had this other section here that was really nice. Right, so a really nice wind recording is really windy, and even just by itself, like if you just listen to it, it almost sounds like it wants to be turned into a fire sound. So, so yeah, so that's what I did. So let's look at how I created it. So here is the same wind recording that I had here. I just chopped it up into like a little section. The reason for that is that I could just pick a little section that I want, and then what I can do now is just kind of like scroll through the different sections of the file and then get different sounds. So here's the first thing I did. Let's just listen to it. Right, so you can still hear the wind, the rustling of the leaves and stuff like that. So let's see what I created here. All right, so let's see how I processed this. So I added a few things here. Let's take all these off. Okay, so first thing was a Waveshaper. So let's have a listen to this. And you can see here I'm automating the distortion. My idea behind this was I was kind of wanted to do like a whoosh or like a fireball, something like that. So yeah, that's why I'm automating everything. And you'll see here everything kind of has this like whoosh envelope. All right, so that's with the distortion, and I'm modulating that right here. Next, I had some gain just because I want to modulate the gain so it comes in and out really nicely. All right, after that, I added some uber loud. And that was really just to bring out the lows, a lot of the bass. After that, I added snap heap. And what I was doing with this, I mean, I didn't have to do it this way, but I'm just using a low filter, and then I'm doing some parallel, like there's two signals. So one is going in through the low pass, and the other one is just the clean signal. I could have just used like the mix knob up here. I don't know why I didn't do that, but anyways. So that's what's happening here. So I have part of it is going through this low pass. So I'm basically boosting a lot of the low end is what I'm doing. So I have one signal that's just a lot of low end, and then just the clean signal going through the other bus here. All right, the last one plugin that I use here is M Transformer, and I was using this mostly to shape the sound, especially the higher frequency content, like the rustling of the leaves. I wanted to get a little bit more distorted because it kind of sounds like leaves if you listen closely, and I didn't want to give away that it was leaves. I wanted to sound like it was fire. So what I'm doing here is I'm modulating under frequency shaping. I always like to use this preset, and I like to go in on this graph here. And what I did is I'm modulating up, as you'll see here, this dot here. So it's just going to go up and increase the emphasis. And as it does that, it just kind of muddles up the higher frequency content so that it doesn't sound like the rustling doesn't sound like rustling leaves anymore. So that's what that was doing. And that's pretty much it. So that's how I created this fireball. And then what's cool, like I said, I can now go in through here and find different parts of the sound, like maybe here. A little too intense there. But like I can just go through and see if there's other parts of my recording, because it was like a minute or 2 or 3 or something like that. So I can just get different places and then get different sounds from them. Like that one sounds really nice. I could probably like print that out. Maybe go a little bit more like this. Right, and just moving it just a little bit like that is enough to have a variation on the sound. Like it doesn't sound the exact same, which is really nice. So then it's really easy to create a lot of variations on these sounds. Right, but you get the idea. So that's how I created these, and I use that for this, for the initial whoosh here, the initial ignition. That's how I created that, and then I also used it for the second whoosh, which is when the sword gets slammed down. I use the same thing here with a fire whoosh here. Again, same recording. Even here, I have here I used a different recording actually, but same idea, and we'll go over it. But yeah, just so you know, like this is how I created these fire sounds, these flaming sounds. All right, so let's go over to this second whoosh and let's just break it down. So here's the first layer, and I think it's the exact same as the first one when I did the ignition. Yeah, so this is the exact same thing. I just copied and pasted it down here because it just worked. So that's what that's doing here. Again, no processing on there, just a bit of track spacer to kind of blend it in with the other tracks. And some gain. Again, I was just using this to blend it in rather than using the item volume. I don't know why I did that. Maybe I was doing automation. Was I doing any automation on this one? No, I'm not sure why I did that. Anyways, I find it easier. I kind of got into this habit of using plugins to gain match my sounds. But anyways, so that's what that is doing there. And again, same here for the repeat. So there's like two whooshes here. So there's the first one here. Two of the exact same thing. So here's the first time there's an attack, and then it goes, and then there's a second attack. It's the exact same thing. So that's why there's a double of everything. All right, so let's go down to this one here. All right, so this is another whoosh sound. Again, I'm using the same recording, actually. This one is the same recording, the ambient recording from the leaves rustling. I just processed it differently. So the same concept, though. If you look here, I added Trash by Isotope, and I think I might even be modulating that. Modulating Trash. No, so I'm not modulating it. I just added some distortion here. Uber loud. So what's interesting about this one is I boosted the lows and the mids. And for the higher frequency, here you can see I'm modulating. So this is with Reaper's parameter modulation. And I'm basically just modulating, not very much. Like you can see here, the strength is at 24%. I just want to modulate anywhere between like something like 5% and like 20%. The high frequencies, so that it never kind of sounds the same. So every time I go through it, it's going to sound a little bit different, especially that higher frequency content, which is not the most prominent in this file. So that's why I was fine to do that. Anyways, just a little touch there of what I was doing. Here I cut out a little bit of the lows because I found it was very boomy. And again, wave shaping here, wave shape distortion, and I think I'm modulating that maybe. No, not even modulating that. The only thing I'm modulating is the gain to go up and down. So yeah, and again, I added some more ubla just to push up the volume a little bit and make it a bit more intense. But that's it for this layer. So together now with these two. So one more time. Right, and that's it. After that is just a matter of adding some sword sounds to it. So let's go over those now. Here I have, what is it? I think this is a whoosh sound, a swing sound. Yeah, so this I just recorded some different items in front of my microphones. This might have been like a plastic tube or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was, but yeah, so just a swish. Here's another one. Right, again, I just recorded this in front of my microphone, different stuff. I had like coat hangers and like plastic tubes and metal bars and stuff like that. So anyways, so this one had a lot more body. This one I thought was it more high frequency stuff? Yeah, there's a lot more high frequency content. So together, you just get a fuller sound. So that's what that is doing here. Here I have, let's listen to this one. So this is actually a sound that I had designed for my own personal library. This was from a while ago. So I kind of just dragged and dropped this in. I don't exactly remember how I created it. But yeah, it was definitely like whooshes and then just some metal impacts that I pitched down and put together. But yeah, so what I did is I put it on recenter because if I take it off, I think it was like a really wide sound. Yeah, it's like really wide, and I just really needed it to be focused, especially for where the player is in the game. And I panned it a little bit to the right here because the sound as it comes down is more on the right side of the screen. So that's why you hear it a bit more on the right side. This sound is the same one here for the second time it plays, but this one I did differently. Everything's in the center now because the player now is in the center. Same thing, it's just now the different position in the stereo field. All right, let's listen to this file here. So this is a sword hit. Again, same idea here. All I'm using is recenter to pan the sound in the field. I'm putting it a little bit to the right. And again, same thing over here with the second time when it happens, it's just in the center. So let's just listen to what we have so far with these here. All right. right? So you just have a really hard-hitting whoosh and impact sound. All right, after that, I added some more effects here. So this one, it's just another sword sound. So together with the first one here. All right, they're just a little bit off, but it just adds a little bit more interest to the sound. And I didn't put it for the second one just to make it a bit different. So you can see here the item's muted. All right, the last sound here that I have is this one. Again, this sound I created, it was a sound I dragged and dropped. So I don't remember exactly how I created it, but it was something like whooshes, and then I had some weird impact sounds that I put together, and I, again, just pitch shifting, modulating them, and yeah, so I had this in my personal library, so I kind of dragged and dropped this in here. And what I wanted was more of a crunchy sound. So right now, this sound is very like clean. So if I play it, it's like a really, really clean sound. And I wanted something a bit more crunchy, right? So that's what this is doing here. Right, so you hear this sound here is a bit more on the right side. And then when I play the second time, more in the center. Right, and that's pretty much it. After that, when you layer everything in with the fire, you get this really full sound. Yeah, that's it. All right, so that's everything for this video. I hope you found it useful and valuable. If you have any questions about anything that I did in the redesign about the video, let me know in the comments below. I always do my best to answer them, especially if I missed anything. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have not checked out the description, I still have that free 5 layering techniques PDF guide for creating sound effects. So if you want to grab that, links will be in the description. All right, so that's it for now. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.